speaking of the old days, you loved a hostile environment. We've asked you to come up with your greatest suburban grounds from your days in the game. You didn't have the luxury, Nicky Dell, of playing on many of the suburban grounds.
I trained on Moorabbin. That's about as, and I played on Windy Hill as a young kid. That's about as good as I ever got.
Played a draw at Windy Hill, and my first ever game was at Moorabbin, a win by a point, and it was one of the great places to play. But I want to hear your top five. What's your top five all-time suburban grounds that you enjoy playing at?
Well, I knew the ground intimately because it was our home ground by share. Princess Park. Thought that was, isn't it? It's Princess, not Princess Park. Yeah, Princess Park. I knew the ground, and it just suited the way I played, the width of the wings and the likes. And there was, you knew that when you went near the Heatley stand, going up towards, sort of uphill towards the parade, towards the Carlton end. There's one time I kicked a goal around the corner and I kept getting inertia and momentum, kept forcing me out to the boundary, and I've stopped and stood on the chalk. And halfway through, I could see the ball was angling back to come in, and I knew it was going for a goal. So I just stood there and looked at the crowd, the Carlton social club like that, and blew them a kiss. And you should have heard the vitriolic hate that came over the fence. So I loved it when you could rile a crowd up like that. But that was a great place, and they were wonderful people, the Carlton people. Victoria Park was fantastic. It was a beautiful ground to play footy on. Really was a nice size, nice shape, hostile environment. It really was a suburban club rooms that you went into. Everything was concrete and brick. And even for league footballs, you got out of the showers, you walked to where your locker was, and there was mud from the boots that you were barefoot and wet from the shower, and you stood over that mud and you dried your feet and you stood on the seat to get off the mud, and then you tried to one-legged put a sock on before anything else. It was like getting changed at Puckapunyal footy ground or Frankston Bombers or Rose. It was a real suburban environment there. The best surface ground I ever set foot on, the Junction Oval. It was like playing on carpet. Once again, beautiful ground, fantastic to play on. There was a northerly blowing. You could just about take a shot from the centre of the ground. Cardinia Park, narrow ground, and for those who could read the ball coming in steps, not just lead wide, it was fantastic to play on. Although the lovely people up the back of the stand were very gracious, very polite, very kind. You'd say hello to them on the way in. You'd say, hi, how are you going? And they'd say, good luck today, son. Not too much good luck, but yeah, welcome. So thanks very much. The ones who came down to the wire, not so much. They would over the top.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they were...
No, not Geelong people, Derm.
Notorious for it. Well, they were the younger brigade.
Right,
the older...
This is not the Geelong College, Geelong Grammar.
No.
Right.
Could have been. Not the gentlemanly folk
Getting it out of their
up
system,
the back.
I think, on a weekend,
And it was a
Dwayne.
It was a toss-up for the last one, I thought, for the cauldrons, where you really... Like Western Oval, Whitten Oval was just... It could be brutal. We played an under-19 game at Whitten Oval once, and there were 20 goals kicked by both teams, not one of them at the northern end. The wind was that strong. But I went for Windy Hill. I don't know what it was like to walk out as a gladiator into the Colosseum where you thought, I could die today. But that was the closest you ever got to with the footy. They should have had wire, 8-foot wire in front of, up from the fence. Some of the things that got said, they'd throw little things at you and the likes, and they'd tell you that there'd be nothing left of your car if you parked, and they'd know where the car park was.
You knew where your Ferrari was.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't hard to spot. And they really was. But it made you alive, you know. It made you, you know, when you stand on the edge of a cliff and you just have to stand further and further closer to look over the edge, and you're in more danger, and you shouldn't put yourself in danger, but you walk back from it going, whew, How good was that? That's what it was like playing at Windy Hill. It was
Like
dangerous. Yeah.
We'll get
Dwayne?
yours. What's your favourite? Now, I'll quickly show you mine because I've ranked them in order of hostility. I'm with Derm.
Yeah.
I liked going and being outside of your comfort zone and playing in a hostile environment, so I've ranked mine. I agree with you, Victoria Park. Mickey Mansfield got us over the line one day at Victoria Park and we won the game, and it was just one of the great all-time wins. Moorabbin, because of that first game factor, the mud, the slosh.
So I didn't fear of that because I lived at Frankston. I used to go there all the time.
But I liked the hostility of it.
Yeah.
They were crazy for their team.
They
at
were,
Moorabbin.
weren't they? Yeah.
And I've also put Alberton because I love playing at Alberton.
But that was home ground for you.
It was, but it was just such a beautiful place in terms of the hostility for you.
Depends on how you play, Dwayne. They were turning on you, were they?
It's Port Adelaide,
Yeah.
and apart from the people living in Adelaide, what's Port Adelaide akin to somewhere else?
Here in Melbourne, it would probably be the Collingwood kind of lower class.
Snowtown?
No, the parade also.
I'm going to get in trouble for that.
Send your
Sorry
correspondence
about
to
that.
Dermott. The parade at Nord, because of the big wall down the wing. If you ran out of bounds too quickly, you smacked into the wall. And Princess Park,
The
I agree.
parade is Norwood.
Norwood's Oval, yeah.
So Gary McIntosh, our old
Yes.
mate, was. He was the best player in my time that never played AFL/VFL.
agree with that.
Gary McIntosh.
How of these suburban grounds, did they all have the cage for you to walk back into your rooms? They were all, all of them?
Yep.
Because I know at Moorabbin it was the animal cage or for all the ferals.
Yep.
But that was everywhere, no matter where you played.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah.
And what about your home ground? Did you feel like you had more of a home ground advantage? Purely, I guess, basically, you know the surface, but you've just named 5 grounds that you said the surface was immaculate.
Yep.
But what about the fear?
Until midwinter.
Yeah. What about the fear factor when you're playing at your home ground that you knew the opposition were going to get? Were they getting the exact same treatment as what you were getting when you were travelling around?
Didn't really think of that. You just thought of how comfortable you were at your own one. There was just the.
You did play better if the crowd were against you, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I would think everybody would, wouldn't it?
I don't mind a cheer every now and then, Derm. Like, you know, just someone
What
from
are
you,
they?
just a pat on the back to say you've done okay.
I remember
Did
once.
you rattle their cage deliberately, the fans?
Of course. There was one day before he went to play with the doggies, Terry Wallace got reported. He got thrown out later on, and we were playing at Western Oval, and he's walking up the race in front of me, and some teenage bloke was just fingers on the wire, that wire talking about, and his face was hard up, and everything was a swear word. Every second word was a swear word, and he spat at him again, and he was looking that way with his face hard up against it. And as I walked past, next about that far away from his face, I went bang on the wire, and it went sting, and his head went back, and he had wire marks over his face. Look at his face. That would have stung.
Story time with Dermott continues after a little break. Make sure you stick around. Nicky D'Alessandro and I, we're sticking around because we want to hear more of those Dermott stories. Don't